Get Mr. Billy Turner into the courtroom, please. Deputy Barnes.
The one thing that she couldn't get working was the laser pointer. She has a special one that couldn't get connected.
Okay.
It's crazy that you point a regular laser pointer just
It disappears. But there's some laser pointer they had that actually works and it doesn't disappear, and you can actually blow the picture up with that pointer somehow, or isolate it and highlight part of it. For the record, continuation, State of Tennessee versus Billy Turner. All parties are present. Are both sides ready to proceed? State your first witness will be
Deborah Marion.
Ask Deborah Marion to step in the courtroom, please. Deb Smith, bring the jury, please, sir. In this case, we order that all witnesses who anticipate testifying and not be in the courtroom when other witnesses are testifying, and that do not communicate their testimony with any other witnesses, any spectators that are present. Also ordered not to go out and talk to other witnesses about what other people may have said in court. Ms. Marion? Ms. Marion. Ms. Marion, just have a seat on that front row for right now, ma'am. Just have a seat for a moment. You told them to watch yourself on that incline, right? Come on in, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone can be seated. State of Tennessee, you may call your first witness.
Deborah Marion.
Ms. Deborah Marion. Sir, come up to where Deputy Smith is standing, please. And once you get to that circle, place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand to be sworn, please. Ms. Marion, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Marion. Put your hand down. Have a seat here, please. Watch your step and take your sign when you get up on the witness stand, please. Ms. Marion, good afternoon. Lawyer's going to have some questions to ask of you. You know it's very uncomfortable being here in court today. Listen to the questions that the lawyers ask Ms. Marion, answer those questions, and make sure you keep your voice up so that all the members of the jury can hear you, and the lawyers can hear you, and the court reporter can hear you. Okay? I need you to speak up loudly, please. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Hagerman, you may proceed.
So, Ms. Deborah, you can look this way. You know, there's a microphone next to you. Don't worry about talking into it. Just keep your voice up so we can hear you back here, okay?
Okay.
Now, tell us your name, please.
Deborah Marion.
And can you spell your name for the court reporter and the jury?
It's Deborahmarion.
And do you know why you're here today?
Yes.
Are you here for your son?
Yes.
Tell us your son's name.
Lorenzen Wright.
Miss Marion, tell us a little bit about your son. Where did you grow up?
Oxford, Mississippi.
All right. Were you living down there in Oxford?
Yes. He was a good kid all the time. He never crawled on his knees. He crawled on a hand and a toe. And then he finally just started walking. He never crawled. Never, never, never.
Was he a big kid?
He was 8 pounds when he was born.
He grew up bigger, didn't he?
Yes, sir. Huge.
We've heard that you play basketball, is that right?
Mm-hmm. He loved it.
Where did he play in high school?
Lafayette High School in Booker T. Washington here.
From high school, where did you go?
University of Memphis.
You played for Memphis?
Yes.
You did real good.
Yes, he did.
Did he play basketball after that?
Yes, he went to the NBA. Before it was time to graduate, I told him, nope, you can't go to the NBA. Well, you got to go to get your degree. And he said, Mama, where am I going to get $1 million with a degree from a job? And y'all know I thought about 10 minutes, and I said, when you say you leaving? Okay. I'm serious, because I couldn't give him no answer.
You lost that argument quick.
Yes, I did.
Was he drafted in the NBA?
Oh, yes, 7 in first round.
7th in the first round.
Yes, sir. And he was ready for second. He was like, if I go second, my mama's still gonna be good. Okay. But when they called his name, but I read the guy's lips and where's Lorenzen Wright's table? I'm like, okay, we are.
You figured he was going to say.
Yes, don't nothing come out like that, Lorenzen Wright.
Were you there at the draft when he got drafted?
Yes, I was sitting right there. First person he kissed when he got up.
What team did he go to?
L.A. Clippers.
Yeah, Clippers.
Yes.
He went to a few teams in his career, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Where all did he play?
Atlanta, Cleveland Cavaliers, Memphis Grizzlies, Sacramento. He played 1 year there. It was 6 teams altogether. I can't think of all of them.
And I think you told me before who his favorite teammate was.
Yes.
Who was that?
On his Malik, before Malik got killed.
Okay. He had a Malik. What was Malik's last name? Well, it doesn't matter. Where did he play with Malik?
Clippers.
Clippers. And then after Malik, he went to Cleveland?
Yes. No, not. He came home.
Came home to
Yes.
Grizzlies. He finished his career at the Grizzlies?
No, he went to Atlanta next. Or vice versa. What I had this stroke, and this is throwing me off. But I know.
6 different teams.
Yes, sir.
A long NBA career.
Yes.
Did he make a lot of money?
Yes, he did.
He had a wife.
Yes, he did.
What was his wife's name?
Sherra Robinson.
Do you know where he met her?
Basketball game.
Here in Memphis?
Yes, he played AAU ball. Even though he was living in Mississippi, he played AAU ball in Memphis.
How long were they married for, do you know?
13 years.
Did they have any children?
6.
What are the names of the children?
Starting with the oldest, Lorenzen Wright Jr. Now listen to all these names. Lorenzen and Sherra all mixed together. Lorenzen Kevin Von Garden, Sophia. And then we got the twins, Lamar and Shamar, the twins. Then we got Sophia and Lawson.
So we have Lorenzen Wright Jr.
Right.
And his nickname?
Snoop.
Just call him
Snoop.
And how old was he now?
Snoop about 25.
Lauren.
23.
And Lauren Sophia, is that right?
Yes.
The twins.
Yeah, they are 22 with my son.
And then 2 more after the twins?
Yes.
What were their names?
15, Lawson and Sophia, 15 and 13.
15 and 13.
Yes.
Through those years of being married to Sherra and having the kids, did Lorenzen stay in touch with you?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. All the time.
It seems like you may have been his #1 fan. Did you stay his #1 fan for all
To the
that?
day he died, still is. Yes, sir.
And obviously we're here today about the day he died. Let me first show you this, though, before we talk about that. Look at this picture and tell me who's there.
That's my baby.
All right, that's your son, Lorenzen?
Uh-huh.
All right. When he was alive. Your Honor, I had that marked as state's first number exhibit.
Any objections? Either Ms. Thomas or Mr. Perry?
No objection.
Ladies and gentlemen, without objection, we admit this exhibit number 1. Photograph described by Ms. Marion as the picture of her son, Lorenzen Wright, exhibit number 1. Ms. Marion, is there some Kleenex here? It looks like you have some paper towels in your hand.
Yes.
Take out the Kleenex you need, okay?
Yes.
Do you need some water, Ms. Marion?
Okay.
You need some water?
No, not right now.
Take all the Kleenex you need. You don't need to use those paper towels. Yes, sir, you may.
That's Lorenzen, Memphis Grizzles jurors, is that right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Do you like to remember him like that?
Yes, I want to remember him happy and celebrating with people after the game, win, lose, or draw. He just was good to be playing.
All these different teams that he played for, you know, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Cleveland, everything. Did he make it a habit to come back to Memphis?
I got a pitch. I'm the pitcher lady in the family. Oh yes, sir. He came home. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, the year when he got killed, he was at home for the 4th of July.
He got killed later on in July. We'll hear that he'd been here on 4th of July.
Oh yes.
Where was he living at the time he got killed?
Atlanta.
Had you been to Atlanta at all and seen him there?
Oh yes.
And would the kids go to Atlanta?
Yes. They said their beds there.
Atlanta was his home at the time.
Yes.
Where was Sherra living at the time he was killed?
In Memphis.
In Memphis.
Yes.
Were they still married?
Yes. Yes, at that time they were divorced February of that year.
They've been recently divorced, is that
Right.
correct? She lived in Memphis?
Yes.
Would the kids also stay in Memphis? Some?
Yes.
So they spent some time in Memphis and some time
Something in Atlanta. Yes.
Do you remember the last time you saw your son alive?
Oh, I'll never forget it.
Where was that?
At my house. He came over to my house and he wrote a letter to Sherra. And when he finished, he put it on top of my refrigerator. He said, well, I'm going to send her over here to get it. I was like, okay. About 20, 30 minutes later, he come back. I changed my mind. I'm going to give it to her myself. That was the last time I talked to him.
And about when was that?
That was like, what? That was right before the 4th. Right before the 4th, yes.
So it was on his earlier trip.
Yes, yes.
Did you even know that he was coming to town on the 17th or the 18th when he came to Memphis?
I knew he was coming due to the fact that my daughter was having a baby shower and he was going to attend her baby shower. Because this is the daughter that wasn't going to have kids. And this was her second one, so he was going to be there.
So you found out he was coming for that, is that correct?
Yes, and I left messages and messages.
But did you see him at all when he came
Nope.
to that? So the last time you saw him was on his previous trip back to Memphis.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Was there a point that you became concerned that something had happened to Lorenzen?
Oh, yes. When he did return my call. Because he always returned my call, mine and Laura's. That's why I waited to the end to call Laura. Because I know if he hadn't called her back, it was something wasn't right. Because he always called me.
Lorenzen's daughter?
Yes.
So, what caused you to call Lorenzen?
Because I wanted to fuss at him for not making it to that baby shower. And we already talked about this. I'm like, oh, I wish I could play the message I left. I'm like, where are you? Call me ASAP.
And you didn't hear from him?
Didn't hear from him. Nobody else had heard from him.
Did you talk to Lauren?
Oh, I know. I don't want to talk to her last, because she the final draw. Because if he didn't answer her call or call her back, he's not on this earth.
And he didn't answer her call back?
Nope. She called me 5 times that day.
Did you talk to Sherra?
Oh yeah.
No.
If she said the police better do their job. That's what she said.
And you said
All I can say is she said, the police need to be handling their business.
Did she tell you that he was missing?
Nope. Nope.
Did what she tell you made any sense at all?
None of it. Nothing makes sense.
Did it cause you to feel any certain way?
Like she knew something but wasn't saying. You know, when she would start a sentence and just stop.
Yes, sir.
Normally wouldn't object on a corpus witness, but getting into what a non-present co-defendant says, Your Honor, I don't think it's proper. It's improper hearsay.
Herman has been indicted for conspiracy.
I understand.
And those statements that are made in furtherance of a conspiracy by a party opponent is an exception to hearsay. So we'll overrule the objection for hearsay. Ladies and gentlemen, hearsay statement is a statement made out of court that has been offered in court for the truth of what is in that statement. Under Tennessee law, if there is it's an exception to the hearsay rule if these statements are made by a party opponent in furtherance of a conspiracy to commit a crime. Those are an exception to the hearsay, so the court is going to overrule that objection. And Mr. Hagerman, you may proceed. Yes, sir.
Just for the foundation and for the record, in addition to the hearsay rule, just the general rule for confrontation and the confrontation clause, I think I have the ability should have the ability to cross-examine any statement that is an out-of-court statement, and that's. I just want to be clear for the record as well.
Understand. You may proceed, Mr. Hagerman.
Did Sherra tell you cause you concern?
Oh, yes.
A little bit or a lot?
A lot. Because she always knew, like when he went out the house, she putting them blinds up. She see it. So for her to say she didn't know.
Did it cause you so much concern that you got in contact with the police?
After I talked to Lori, I told Lori, I said, Lori, your daddy called you back, you heard from, she said, no, Grandma, I called him 5 times today. I said, well, Lori, your grandma's going to be on the news tonight because she called the police because this is not right.
At this point, it'd be fair to say that he'd been missing for 2 or 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
And was your understanding that Sherra Wright never called the police?
Nope, she never did. Nope.
You had to.
I had to.
Did she tell you that she was the last person to see him alive?
She said when they left, she said when we left, Snoop locked the door behind him. So that when they left, that's all, they who? Don't make sense.
The story makes sense. Did you talk to the police?
Did I? Oh, yes.
Did you report him missing?
Yes, I did.
And those days when he was missing, did they go on and on?
Yep.
Finally, were you alerted that he had been found?
And I knew it wasn't good because it was too long.
You knew it wasn't good because it took too long?
Yep.
How'd you find out?
Dennis, one of his police friends, Dennis McNeil. Dennis McNeil.
Lorenzen had some friends who were police officers?
Dennis McNeil.
And what did he tell you?
He found him dead. And I told him I wanted his address. He just wanted me to know where I was so he could come pick me up.
Did you take part in planning a funeral for Lorenzen?
Yes.
Did y'all have a funeral for him?
Yes, we did at the FedEx Forum. He always told me, Mama, don't bury me in no black because I'm not a dark person. Don't y'all wear no black because I'm not a dark person. So he never said what color to wear, so I told him, wear white.
So y'all had a funeral that was in white?
Yes, sir.
A lot of people come to it?
Yes, sir.
Friends and family come to it?
Yes, indeed.
And obviously some of these are legal requirements that I'm having to ask you.
Okay.
After you saw Lorenzen back there in July, you never saw him alive again, did you?
No, never.
You know, we do have a stipulation intended to the court.
Yes, sir.
If I can read it, we mark it first in our wishes, and I can read it to the record.
Yes, sir. Interjections, Thomas and Mr. Perry.
No.
And for the record, this is exhibit number 2. It's a stipulation of fact. Exhibit number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I will give you this charge verbally. We'll also give it to you in writing at the end of the trial. A stipulation is an agreement. And all parties have agreed that certain matters are being stipulated as being factual in this case. In other words, the Lord is not requiring that the state call a witness to say this is what this would be. They're stipulating that if that witness were called, that is what the witness testimony would be. You will give the stipulation the same weight and consideration as you would give any other testimony that was testified in court under oath by a witness. You may proceed, Ms. Hagerman.
The parties in this matter, the state of Tennessee and the defendant, represented by counsels, have agreed to the following things. The victim in this case is Lorenzen Wright, who was a living person who is now deceased. The victim is the same person that autopsy 201000911 was performed upon. These are facts that are agreed to by the parties and may be accepted as true without the need for a witness or further proof. This is a stipulation made in all homicide cases so that the family members of the victim do not have to view the autopsy pictures of the victim. So the parties stipulate to that and is approved by the court. That's Exhibit 2.
Hagerman, thank you, sir. You may proceed, Ms. Hagerman.
Just a couple more questions, Ms. Marion. Were you aware as to whether or not there was a substantial life insurance policy
Oh, yes.
on the life of
Yes.
your son?
Yes.
Do you know how much it was for?
$1 million.
$1 million?
Yes, sir.
You aware whether or not there was a substantial MBA pension also was your son's?
Yes.
You know how much that was?
$150,000.
$150,000?
Oh, yes.
I have no further questions, Judge Passing.
Thank you, Mr. Hagerman. Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, Mr. Perry, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I only have one question for you. Do you remember what day of that weekend your daughter's baby shower was?
It was on Saturday.
Saturday. Thank you, Your Honor.
That she is. You can ask her.
Well, you were in here. I can't do that.
Okay, okay.
And I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Marion,
Yes, sir.
I know it's been 12 years. I want to offer you my condolences for the loss of your son. I appreciate your patience over the years. You're excused from any additional testimony in this case, Ms. Marion. You are free to stay and watch the rest of the trial if you have the opportunity to do so. I would encourage you to do so. You cannot discuss your testimony with anyone or allow anyone to talk to you about what they said in court. Thank you for being here. You may step down from the witness stand, watch your step, and if you can watch the rest of the trial, I encourage you to do so. Watch your step, ma'am. You may call your next witness, Schofield.
They would call Miss Claudia Robinson.
Claudia Robinson, please. Claudia Robinson. Ms. Robinson, you come to where Deputy Smith is standing on this circle, please. And once you get there, if you put your left hand on the Bible, please, Ms. Robinson, and raise your right hand to be sworn. Ms. Robinson, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Put your hand down. Have a seat here, please. Watch your step, please. Ms. Robinson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Robinson will give you a choice you can make. If you want to, you can take the mask off so the jury can hear you better, or you can keep it on. It's totally up to you, ma'am. Okay? Schofield, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you state and spell your name for the jury and the court reporter, please?
Claudia, Claudia, Robinson, Robinson.
Now, Ms. Robinson, do you know why you're here today?
I do.
Let's start off with, do you know Sherra Wright?
I do.
And who is she?
My cousin.
First cousin?
First cousin.
And were you, before all this happened, were you and Miss Sherra Wright close?
Yes.
Back in, I guess you can tell me, when Sherra and Lorenzen moved back to Memphis, do you recall what year that was?
Early 2000s, probably.
Some time ago.
Some time ago, yes.
And did you know Lorenzen as well?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you close with him?
Very. Yes.
And when they moved back to Memphis, did you start seeing them a lot more often?
I did.
Okay. And in what capacity?
At first, I was just visiting because they were here more than they were before. And then one day I was there, they wanted to go on a date. So Lorenzen asked me to watch the kids. And from there on, I was standing in as a nanny when they didn't have nannies. And I was a babysitter as well.
You volunteered once and got volunteered for some more duty, right?
Right.
You didn't think it was going to be for anything more than one day, did you?
I didn't.
Okay. And so from then on, would it be safe to say you were pretty regularly helping out
Yes.
to watch over the kids?
Yes.
Would that have been up through about 2005 or so,
Yes, sir.
when you finished college?
Uh-huh.
And after that, you went off to your own life, and they had other help with the kids. Would that be correct to say?
Yes, they did.
But in the 2010, specifically that summer, were you again helping out with the kids?
I was.
Had Lorenzen and Sherra been divorced by this point?
At this point, they were or were going through divorce, yes.
Was Lorenzen living there?
No, he was not.
Where was he living?
Atlanta.
Okay. So it's safe to say Sherra needed some help with the kids at that point.
Yes.
Were you the official nanny or just helping out where you could?
I was not the official nanny. I was just helping out when I could.
Okay. And were you pregnant at the time?
I was.
So that summer, how many days a week would you say you were over there?
Maybe 5. Pretty much. Probably about 5 days a week.
5 days a week? That's a lot.
Right.
Were you being paid for that or just doing
No,
it?
at that time, I wasn't a nanny on pay. I was just helping out where I could. So, no, I wasn't getting paid.
And I'm sure it felt good to help out with your younger, I guess, second cousin.
Yes, it did. Those were my
Because you
babies.
said you known them their whole lives.
I had pretty much
And how many kids did they have with them?
6.
6 kids. Anybody would need some help with that, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to the month of June in 2010. And during that period, was that when you would have been there up to 5 days a week, maybe?
Pretty much, yeah. Because the kids were out of school.
The kids were out of school. It's the summertime, right?
Right.
And did you ever see an individual named Billy Turner over at Sherra's house?
I did.
Do you see him here in the courtroom today?
No, I don't see him.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
Just briefly, since we're going to identify someone, almost everyone in the courtroom is wearing a mask except for, I believe, you and me and the other lawyers. We have some-
This is
Sir.
Billy. That's Billy.
Oh.
Right there.
Sorry, you said that's Billy right there. Will you
Yes, sir.
describe what he has on the court today, Ms. Robinson?
Black glasses. I think that's a olive mask, maybe. Gray suit, white shirt.
And for the record will reflect that Ms. Claudia Robinson has pointed to, has described, has identified the defendant, Mr. Billy Turner, in this case. May I proceed, Ms. Schofield?
Thank you, Judge. Was he someone you knew well at all?
No, I didn't have a personal relationship with him.
But was he somebody you would see over at Sherra's house?
Yes.
And what did he do for her?
He was a yard man.
Okay, that's what you knew him as?
Yes, that's what I remember.
Was there also a possible romantic relationship between him and Sherra?
I I didn't have confirmation on one, but yeah, it appeared to be something.
Right. You didn't see them do anything, but
No.
you could tell something.
Right.
Okay. And during that time over there, did you ever, or were you present during any kind of a meeting he and Sherra had?
I was present during a conversation.
Okay, conversation.
Right.
And did this conversation cause you some concern?
It did.
Okay. And if you could tell the court about that conversation and what was said.
I was in the kitchen preparing lunch for the children, and Sherra and Billy entered the kitchen, and Sherra was just irate, saying Lorenzen had a hit on her. She had been told that he had a hit on her.
Like a hit, like the killer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how many times did she say that?
Often she repeats what she said, so she just kind of repeatedly said it. He has a hit on me. I can't believe he has a hit on me. He has a hit on me.
Okay. And what else was said?
I said, surely that's not so. It's no way you believe that. But she insisted he has a hit on me.
Okay. And what did she say she was going to do about it?
Well, Billy was standing there and was just like, okay, Sherra, like, what? And she said, it's him or me. Like, what do you mean? He has a hit on me. He has to be gone.
So was it very clear what she was talking about?
It was.
And your response was, what are you talking about that can't be true?
Right. I sure that he does it. Just not from what I had seen with him and her. I just told her this irate. It's no way this man is trying to kill you or have someone do that to you.
And what did Mr. Turner say in response to this?
He was just standing there, and like I said, eventually, because she was just so irate, like, he has a hit on me, so he was like, what do you want, Sherra? And she said, what do you mean? He has to be gone. It's him or me.
Was that pretty much the extent of the conversation?
Yes, sir, that was pretty much it.
Mr. Turner ever said, like, whoa, I'm not
Objection, Your Honor.
No, he didn't.
Sorry, say it again.
Objection, Your Honor. He's leading his witness.
He has not asked a question yet. Mr. Paris, I can't rule on whether or not it's a leading question because all he said is like 3 words. You may proceed.
Did Mr. Turner ever say, whoa, I don't want to be involved in that?
No,
Your
sir.
Honor,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, with him holding his hands up, shaking his head, and asking that question, it's leading, Your Honor.
The chair will overrule the objection to leading. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, a leading question is one which suggests or implies an answer. That question can be answered in many, many ways other than whatever answer Mr. Perry anticipates. So it's not really suggesting an answer. You may proceed, Mr. Schofield.
Thank you. And what did you do after they talked about this?
Oh, I went to go get the kids and get them lunch. I wanted no part of it.
No part of that?
No, sir.
Okay. After that, did you hear any more discussion about that day?
Not that day. No, sir.
Now, was there a second occasion where this was again discussed?
It was a little while after.
Do you know exactly how long after?
I can't say per se.
Would it have been the same day? Or
No, sir. It was not the same day.
Okay. And the second conversation, was it just Sherra and Mr. Turner, or was there someone else there?
No, sir. There was another individual there.
Who was that?
She calls him Jay.
Did you know Jay?
I didn't know Jay at all.
Okay. Then?
No, not then.
Okay. You don't really know him now, do
I
you?
don't. No, sir.
Do you know what his relationship with Sherra was?
Yes, sir. He's a cousin on her mother's side.
Okay, so you're the father's, the Robinson side,
Right.
and he's from the mother's side.
Yes, sir.
And did the mother and the father side interact all that much?
No, sir.
Okay. And in fact, that most of them lived out in Mississippi.
Right.
Okay. And so, describe for the court and for the jury today how that conversation happened.
That was pretty much just a regular day that day. I was doing laundry. She was doing some of her routine, taking stuff out of closets, cleaning up, getting rid of old stuff, and Jay came through the garage. I can remember, but he was coming because he was supposed to be picking up money from her.
Okay. Now, let me back up a little bit. Had you ever seen him over there before?
No, I had never seen him before.
Did you see Billy over there often? Or
Yes.
Mr. Turner, I should say.
Yes, sir. I did.
Would it be more than once a week?
Yes, sir.
Every day?
A couple of times a week. I wouldn't say every day, but I did see him quite often.
Okay. And so this person named Jay walks in, and you
Yeah.
think he was there to pick up some money?
Well, yeah, he said something to her about she was supposed to be helping him with some fees or something for some issues he had going on.
All right. Were you? And when he comes in, where are y'all located in the house?
Off the kitchen. Right. Well, the kitchen and the great room were kind of right there together.
And you folded clothes in the
Yeah,
bedroom?
I was on the couch.
All right. And was Mr. Turner there as well?
He was.
Okay. And what was the conversation you overheard at that point?
Once Jay was finished talking to her about what he was coming to get, then Sherra just again goes back into, I can't believe he has a hit out on me. He wants me gone. And that's when I was like, surely you're not still on this. Like, you can't be back here again. And that's when she said, like, he has a hit out on me. He said he wants me gone.
Okay. And did she say what she wanted done or what she thought needed to happen to him?
Well, she just kept saying it has to be him or me. She always stood on it has to be him or me. Just him or me, but he has to be gone. And, I'm like, well, what about your kids? Surely this can't be true.
You don't want to believe that?
I didn't want to believe it. It's not
Did
the
you, in
first
fact,
letter.
believe that Lorenzen would put a hit out on her?
I didn't. I did not.
But we now have a second occasion where she is saying he's got to go and timber me.
Right.
And we have a second occasion where Mr. Turner is there.
Right.
And now this Jay person is there.
Right.
Did Mr. Turner at any point in time during that conversation say, I don't want any part of this, or what are you talking about? That's crazy.
No.
And was it very clear what she was saying?
It was.
And how did that conversation end?
It ended, frankly, because I left away from it. I don't know what they said after that because I didn't like the comment that she made after I was saying, well, what about your children? And it's no way, they should be put through anything like that.
And what did she say?
She was told that I was going to be a problem. And she said, no, she's not because she can get off too.
Who said that you were going to be a problem?
Jay.
And Sherra said that you could get off to too.
Yes.
Meaning killed.
Yes.
Mr. Turner have anything to say about that?
He didn't say anything.
I know you've said during open statements, and I think you've said it before, you described Mr. Turner as being slow. Would that be true?
Slow to react or respond, yes, but intellectually, I don't know him enough to say intellectually he's a slow individual, but he's very just more laid back than others and just kind of
More introverted?
more so, yes, sir.
When he was at the house all these times and you're at the house all these times, did you guys ever have much conversation?
We didn't.
And he was supposed to be the yard man?
Yes, sir.
Was there much of a yard at that house?
A little bit in the front. There was a pool in the back.
Was the whole back concrete?
From what I can remember, I think so. Or the majority of it was.
Did you ever see him cutting the yard over there?
I was never outside when he was working on the yard, no, sir.
Now, after these conversations, do you hear anything more about this before you find out Lorenzen Wright is dead?
No, I didn't. But I kind of distanced myself from being over there too, so I didn't hear.
So after that second conversation, you quit coming around as much?
Yes, I did.
Was that disturbing to you, that entire conversation?
Very much so.
And then some days later, or some weeks later, you hear Lorenzen is dead.
Right.
And in fact, murdered.
Right.
What were you feeling at that point?
Surely this has not happened, and I hope to God she didn't have anything to do with it. But more so, it's just like, okay, now what? Because I know that what was said to me was said to me.
Were you afraid?
Of course.
Were you afraid for your safety?
Right. Because if she had anything to do with it or in any kind of way, and she had already said, if you say something or there's something, you know, coming from you, then this could be you too.
Were you afraid they would try and put you in it just because you were there?
Of course.
Now, let's fast forward to late 2016, early 2017. Did the police come to talk to you about this case?
Yes, they did.
And did you answer their questions?
I did.
Did they know you before they talked to you? They heard there was a pregnant female.
They didn't know me.
Okay. But you were in fact the pregnant female.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they came and you told them what happened.
Yes, sir.
Did you cooperate with the police?
I did.
Did you in fact even, did they have you make some phone calls for them?
Yes, they did.
To
Sherra.
Sherra.
Yes, sir.
And at this point in time, were they actively investigating Sherra, right?
Yes, sir, they were.
And Mr. Billy Turner at that
Yes,
time?
sir.
And did they direct you to call her and talk to her and try and get her to say things?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And did you in fact have several recorded phone call conversations with Sherra?
I did.
And they were telling you what to say,
Yes, sir.
essentially? Did she ever actually say anything that would implicate her in those conversations?
She didn't. Not that I know.
Was it her habit to talk on the phone about criminal things?
Oh, no.
Now, prior to the end of 2016, would there occasionally be news items about Lorenzen Wright in the news?
There would.
Probably a couple things every year.
Right.
Even if it's just, wow, this case still hasn't been solved type of deal.
Right.
Would she mention those things on the phone to you?
She would.
Now, after this thing about the gun got released, did she call you about that?
No.
Never talked about that.
She didn't want to talk about that.
Did the police, in fact, try to get you to talk to her about that on the phone?
They did.
And she wasn't talking about it?
She didn't have much. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Conversation you were a witness to.
Mm-hmm.
You said you were, it was, what did you say, say in a den kind of off the kitchen, like a den or living room area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We folded, I guess like we all do, we fold clothes, we're watching
Right.
TV, and we set them on top of the couch in little
Right.
piles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was everyone standing or sitting?
I was sitting. I just remember she was moving around like she usually does. Once Jay came in and Billy came in, I can't quote like where they were in the house.
Do you know if they were sitting or standing?
I can't remember.
Would it be safe to say that Sherra, one of those types that when she starts talking, she kind of paces around the room?
She does.
So she would have been wandering
She's
around while
moving.
this was going around.
Yes.
And they would have been
Stationary
listening.
somewhere. Yes.
Okay. But you can't recall whether they were sitting or standing.
Right.
Now, would they have been in the same? Were they in the kitchen and you were in the room, or is
Well,
it
it's
open?
all right there together.
Is it kind of
was
like an open concept
Yes,
type
sir.
deal?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So you're all kind of in the same room, but there's different
Right.
areas. So.
Right.
Okay. I'll pass the microphone.
Thank you, Ms. Schofield. Mr. Perry, may proceed.
Thank you. Back in the fall of 2017, what was the first time that you had come in contact with the members of the Memphis Police Department? Do you remember?
When I was brought for questioning.
Right. Do you remember, was that the first time that you
Yes,
were?
that was the very first time.
Were you brought in by the police yourself, or did you drive yourself to a precinct?
I was driven and trailed by the police.
All right. And when you had called your cousin, when you were saying that you were contacted at school, you're saying that was something that you were just trying to get information from Sherra, right?
Right.
And so they never had come to your school early that morning and talked to your principal about anything, did they?
No, they did not.
And the police, where did they come into direct contact with you?
I was at the gas station by my school.
How did you know to go to the gas station by your school, or did the police?
No, I left school and I went to the gas station.
How did you know to leave school and go to the gas station to meet the police?
I knew. I got off work. I was leaving work for the day and I had to get gas. So I was literally at the gas pump getting gas when the police were there.
And they came up on you?
They did.
All right. How many police officers came up on you?
One.
All right. So one police officer
Yes.
approached you
Yes.
by himself.
One police officer approached me.
He said, come downtown.
No, he didn't.
What did he say?
He said, we need to talk to you. And then that's when he said, you have to follow us for questioning.
And so that morning, you did not go to the doctor's office early. Correct?
That morning.
Right. That morning, you didn't go to the doctor's office.
No.
You weren't late for school. Right?
I went to work.
No, I'm asking you.
Right.
You weren't late for school.
No.
You didn't go to the doctor's office that morning, correct?
No, I didn't.
And did you that morning tell the police that you had gotten $10,000 of hush money?
I never told the police I got any money.
Did you tell the police about the fact that you were supposed to get $10,000 hush money?
I never told the police I was supposed to get any money.
Did they tell you about the fact that you were supposed to get $10,000 hush money?
No, they didn't.
All right. And so today is the first time that you're hearing about $10,000 hush money.
It is.
All right. And in addition to that, did you tell the police how many times you went to pick Jay up?
I didn't tell the police I ever picked Jay up.
Did the police ask you about picking Jay up?
They never asked me about picking Jay up.
And so you never said to the police that you picked Jay up?
I never told them I picked Jay up.
And you had never gone to Batesville at all with Sherra for the purpose of picking up Jay?
I never went with Sherra to pick up Jay.
And you said that prior to today, had you had an opportunity to meet with the DA's office in this case?
What do you mean?
Have you met with Mr. Schofield in this case or Mr. Hagerman?
I was subpoenaed, yes.
No, I'm not talking about the subpoena. I'm
Oh.
saying, have you had a meeting with them prior to today? Yes or no?
No, I had questioning when I was told I had to go down for questioning. Other than that, no.
So you went to questioning with the police department, right?
Right.
And prior to coming into this courtroom, you haven't had any conversations with either Mr. Hagerman or Mr. Schofield?
Well, initially when we were supposed to go to trial, before.
That would be a conversation before.
Right.
All right, and you met.
It was like this, yes.
All right. You said that you heard a conversation in the kitchen, and you said that Jay and Billy came into the kitchen together, right?
I said Jay entered and Billy entered, yes.
Was Billy already there, or was Jay coming in from somewhere that you didn't see or know of?
Right. Jay was coming in from somewhere I didn't see or know of. Billy was already at the house that day.
Billy was there. Now, you remember talking with Sherra, and I guess it was to coerce her into talking to you at the behest of the police department. You remember that?
I did.
And you remember talking to her at length about some of her romantic interests, right? And some of the questions that she was supposed to have been, that you were supposed to be asked.
Yes, some of the questions that I was asked to ask her, yes.
You never made any mention about Billy being a romantic interest, or boyfriend, or anything like that while you were on the phone with Sherra during this scripted conversation, did you?
No.
Let me take a few more steps back, and then we're going to get into some of those conversations in a few minutes. You signed an immunity agreement from prosecution, right?
I did.
And you signed your immunity agreement from prosecution because they told you that they thought they had you in the middle of a conspiracy, right?
That's not true.
That's not true. So you just signed an immunity agreement for the hell of it?
I did not. I signed it for my protection because, of course, I was at a house where a conversation was made, so that I had nothing to do with it.
This was in 2017, right?
In 2017.
2017, when one police officer called to you after school and you happened to have run into him and he said, come downtown with me. That was in 2017, correct?
Yes.
And that was in 2017. Now, you were at the funeral, right, in 2012?
I was.
And while you were at that funeral in 2012, when the mayor was talking, you ran up and took the mic and said, I can break this. You said you can solve it, right?
I did it.
And you called the police, or maybe that one police that you saw at the gas station after work in 2017, you talked to him back in 2012, didn't you?
I did it.
Lorenzen was like a brother to you, according to the conversation that you were pretending to have with Sherra on the phone when you said the police had put you up to it, right?
He was.
And you talked about different situation. You talked about one of the funny things that happened about speeding one night, about
Right.
110 in one of his trucks, because
Right.
he wanted to get somewhere.
Right.
Y'all had good moments, correct?
Great moments.
He was more than a cousin to you, or more than married to a cousin,
Right?
right? He was a brother to you.
He was.
But you never described this conversation regarding a murder plot with police from the time that he was killed until the time in 2017 that some stranger walked up and talked to you. Is that true?
Of course I didn't. Why would you? If your life has already been threatened, it's not that easy. You don't just say, oh, my cousin said that her husband or ex-husband is going to kill her, so let me go tell you this when I'm pregnant with my first child, just get my life going to where I want it to be, and she's already said that she's not going to be a problem, she can get off too. So if she thinks that much about a man that she's had 6 children by and has been the love of her life, her entire life, and she's contemplating having this done to him, what do you think she'll do to me? So you don't just go say, oh, let me drop you this information off to you. No, you're fearful for your life. You don't know that she'll do it, but if she's adamant about something being done, then she don't care enough about me not to do it to me too.
Are you finished?
I am.
You never told the police any of this
I
until
did.
2017, correct?
I didn't tell them that she threatened my life. Yes, I did.
You told the police prior to 2017?
No, not
that Sherra
prior to being.
threatened
No,
you.
not prior to being brought in for questioning. No, I did not.
Right, that's what I'm saying. In 2012,
No, I didn't.
while you're with the rest of the family upset about what was supposed to have happened in 2012, you pulled a police officer and said, I was threatened also. Did you say that to
I didn't.
anybody?
I didn't.
Right. And you went on about life until 2017,
I
correct?
did. I did.
Did you ever sign any kind of form that you were part of an investigation while you were calling Sherra? Did you ever file a form saying you're part of this, I'm investigating Sherra, these are all scripted conversations, etc.? Did you do any of that?
I didn't.
While you were in this room where Jimmy came into, Sherra and Billy were present, did you see any firearms in that room?
I did not.
While you were discussing the scripted conversations with Sherra, did you, while you were trying to work for the Memphis Police Department, say, girl, they even asked me about that time you had them firearms on the kitchen table? Did you say that?
I didn't.
Did you mention guns on the kitchen table?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
Did you ask her if she had heard anything about there supposed to be guns on the kitchen table?
I can't remember.
Now, one thing you do remember when you were talking, you remember Reginald Robinson being there, right?
Being where?
At the house, some. Back in 2010, in the summer of 2010, he would have been Sherra's boyfriend at that time, correct?
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, that's what she thought.
I understand. Now, a few moments ago, you were asked about this romantic interest question. When you were talking to the police, you never described Billy as being a romantic interest at all, did you?
No.
And when you talked to Sherra, you didn't say anything about Billy being a romantic interest or a creep or whatever you might want to call it. You never called him any of that stuff, did you?
No.
In fact, until today, you never mentioned romantic interest or, oh, I didn't see it, but you never said nothing like that, did you?
When I was asked if I thought they were in a relationship, I told them I didn't. I couldn't say yes or no.
When you were recorded, I'm not talking about when Mr. Schofield was asking questions. I'm saying when you were being recorded and when you were playing these roles with Sherra, you never mentioned anything about Billy other than him being slow, correct? Correct?
Correct.
And you didn't say slow to respond, slow laid back. You said, girl, I thought that man was slow. They asked me questions about him. I couldn't imagine, the gardener, the yard man. That's you talking, correct?
Well, those are conversations that the police had me to have.
I'm not asking about the police asking you to have a conversation. The police wouldn't know what Billy and you and Jimmy were talking about in the house. That's you and your cousin having girl talk.
No, those were her conversations that they asked me to have. So the conversations that you have with her is not, those weren't just random, I'm calling you. Those were conversations per the police request and comments or questions asked per their request.
Do you remember, and did you remember when you had these calls, when you said you were leaving the police station, do you remember having a call with Sherra? Do you remember calling Sherra?
Per their request, yes.
Okay. And do you remember the conversation that you had with her?
I don't. I had several conversations with her per their request.
If you heard it, it would jog your memory some.
Okay.
Did you know your voice if you heard it?
Of course.
When you heard it with did you listen to it with Mr. Schofield or Mr. Hagerman?
I did not.
Yes, sir.
You didn't receive your $10,000 budget. Right.
I never received any money. I was never promised any money.
And in your conversations and in the report with Detective Triage, he never specifically asked you about the fact that someone had said that you were supposed to give us money. Correct?
They asked me did I receive money, and I said no.
A few moments ago, I thought your answer was that you hadn't received it, or that you hadn't been asked that question.
You said that I told them that I received money, and I said no.
No. What I asked you was whether or not they asked you about receiving $10,000 hush money.
Right. They asked me if I received money, and I said no.
Right. And you understand what perjury is, correct?
I do.
And when I'm asking you these questions, you understand the severity of changing answers that might not be truthful, correct?
Right.
All right. Now, when you talk to Detective Frias, Frias said on that particular day, your testimony today was that when you went to talk to the police, that it was only one detective and that nobody left a card or anything for you at the school. Is that correct?
Right. To my no. That the day I was approached at the gas station while I was pumping gas, one police officer approached my car.
Right.
Yes.
And prior to that day, your principal didn't know anything about any of this, correct?
No. No.
And
Not
after-
to my knowledge.
After that day, your principal didn't know anything and didn't send you anywhere, any of that, right?
No.
You're saying that you never made that statement to Sherra?
Which statement?
What
That
statement?
the principal had sent you to the police department.
On the telephone calls that they asked me to make for the information that they asked me to tell her, yes. That's one of the things they told me to tell her.
How many times did you meet with the police officer and were you asked after meeting with the police officer to call Sherra?
I can't remember how many times I was asked to call. I don't know.
And it was a number of times.
It was several times. Yes.
And one of those times would have been after Billy Turner's first appearance in court, right?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I don't know.
You don't remember?
If they asked me to make a phone call to Sherra after Billy's appearance in court?
Right. Do you remember being asked to make a phone call to Sherra after Billy Turner's appearance in court and discussing Billy Turner's appearance in court? Do you remember that conversation?
I was asked to make a numerous amount of conversations. I can't remember if it was after Billy was picked up or not. I'm not sure.
Do you remember discussing specifically with Sherra from your home? Because this call was not a call from you to Sherra, but from Sherra to you regarding Billy's appearance in court. Do you remember that?
I can't remember, but anytime I talked to Sherra after any knowledge of this was public, the conversations that I had with her were per their request. Sherra and I were not talking on a regular before then.
Right. I'm not talking about any conversation where you called Sherra. I'm talking about when Sherra called Miss Claudia Robinson. That couldn't be the police calling, unless you're thinking the police called Sherra and said, Sherra, will you call your cousin Claudia? Did they do that to your knowledge?
I'm not sure what they did.
But in this particular phone call, you made reference to the fact that you were just wrapping up school, that y'all were just doing whatever you do at the end of the day at your particular school. Do you remember that? When you met with Mr. Schofield and Mr. Hagerman recently, did they play your recordings for you?
No, they've never played a recording for me. I've never heard them.
So you hadn't had the opportunity to hear any of your recordings?
I have not.
And so do you remember or do you deny the fact that you described Billy during the conversation?
Do I remember describing Billy to who?
To Sherra. You remember saying, they keep asking these questions. I'm like, man, it ain't no way Billy did nothing. Do you remember that?
If I had that conversation with Sherra, it was per the request of them.
Do you remember at the request of them, and I'm not asking about the request of them, I'm asking about your description during the conversation. Do you remember having that description during the conversation?
I don't remember.
Okay. And do you remember describing him as very helpful and just a nice guy? But he was, matter of fact, I thought he was slow, girl. Remember that?
I do remember saying her that he was helpful to her because she would ask him to help, and he would help.
But you didn't ever say anything about him sleeping with her or having a relationship with her during that conversation. You didn't allude to it at all.
If I didn't, the conversation didn't prompt for it.
I'm not talking about the prompts and all of that stuff and you being a CI or any of that stuff. I'm talking about this. Let me make a few steps backwards and we'll get back in those conversations. At the time that you're making those calls to your first cousin, you thought that they were trying to get at you, correct?
That who was trying to get at me?
The police.
No.
You
no,
thought,
I did not.
You said a few moments ago that you were protecting yourself. Protecting yourself from what?
Of course I was protecting myself as it relates. When you said I didn't tell anybody, of course I'm protecting me because she's already threatened my life. But was I making phone calls for them because they were trying to assume that I did or said something? No, I was making the phone calls because they were investigating her and asked for my assistance.
Your husband went and talked to her about the threat she made to you?
No, he did not.
The police?
No.
Any other family members?
No.
And in fact, did you make mention of the threats and say, girl, look, this ain't me. This ain't me. So don't do nothing to me. Did you talk to her like you were scared of her at all?
When she made it?
In any other conversations?
Well, no. Do you keep bringing up a threat? If someone threatens your life, do you keep bringing it up? No.
I call the police.
Okay. No. As soon as if someone is, you hear someone making reference to killing an individual, you're going to automatically run to the police if they threaten your life too? You don't. Not when you're pregnant with your first child and you're not sure if they will or won't. It's not that easy. It's easier said than done. It's not that easy.
Are you finished with your speech? Are you finished?
Mr. Perry,
Yes, sir.
you asked her an open-ended question. Let her answer the question, please. You may proceed with another question.
Oh, I thought you were telling her she could proceed.
You may proceed with another question.
She asked me a question, Your Honor, and I was
Mr. Perry, if you ask a question that's open-ended, let her explain your answer. If you ask an open-ended question, it's not been fair to the witness to ask if she's finished. You ask an open-ended question and she has the right to finish her answer. You may proceed.
You were scared when Sherra threatened you, right?
Of course.
And you were scared during your pregnancy, right?
Right.
But you weren't pregnant 5 years, were you?
I wasn't.
And so after you gave birth to that first child, you didn't call the police, did you?
I did not.
You didn't tell anybody about anything about Sherra threatening you at all until 2017 after you got questioned about receiving $10,000 hush money, correct?
After I got questioned about receiving hush money.
There's like 4 questions in one. A couple
Oh my
questions
God.
that asked and answered, explained again and again.
In 2010,
As far as this objection, I'm going to sustain the objection because those are both questions, and it's also put in the question assuming the fact that it's not before the jury, because Ms. Robinson has told the jury many, many times that she never told anybody about receiving $10,000 in hush money. It implies that she was, in fact, told about that. So it's a sustained objection. We really need to move on because she's answered that she never told anybody about these threats until 2017. You may proceed, Mr. Perry.
Yes, you told these, you never told anybody about the threats until 2017, right?
Correct.
And after that particular point in time, you said you placed a few calls to Sherra at the behest of the police department, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to Jimmy at all during that time?
I've never talked to Jimmy ever.
And when Jimmy says that you picked him up, is he wrong?
I've never picked up Jimmy. Jimmy and I didn't know each other.
And were you present at a meeting where the person who Sherra was supposed to have been dating at that time was supposed to have been present at the house regarding a murder plot? Were you present while there were other people other than what you said with Jimmy and Billy discussing anything?
No.
And to be clear, when you described the conversation regarding what Billy was supposed to have said, Billy never said that he was going to participate in killing anybody, did he?
I didn't say that.
I know that's a question, though, and it's a closed-ended question.
No.
And Billy never laid out any plan or described anything at that time, did he?
No.
In fact, at the time that you said it, you said from a few moments ago when Mr. Schofield was asking you, Sherra had said stuff about Lorenzen going to kill her and stuff like that before, and you just brushed it off, right? Sherra had made mention of a hit and things like that before, and you just, didn't pay it any mind.
Prior to this? Prior to this?
Yes, ma'am.
That was the first time I'd ever heard Sherra say Lorenzen had a hit on her.
But it wasn't something, in other words, that you took serious. You didn't call the police one way or the other, correct?
No, I didn't.
And you didn't think Lorenzen had a hit out on her, did you?
I didn't.
And at that particular time, you said that Jimmy, out of the two, who had you seen more around that house at that point in time? Jimmy or Billy?
Billy?
Who had you spoken to more? Billy or Jimmy?
What do you mean spoken to?
Hey, how you doing?
Billy.
And Jimmy is somebody that just started coming up during that time of the summer of 2010, correct?
Correct.
And when you said Jimmy was there, that would have been around the time frame if there was any discussion regarding Lorenzen and a hit, correct?
I said that.
I'm just asking the question.
Right.
And that wasn't something that I'd asked you before, right?
Right.
Okay. And so, in other words, Billy being over there during that time frame, that wasn't something that was odd or that was out of the way, because Billy used to come over there, cut the yard. You said a small yard, but cut the yards and do the shrubs and things like that, did he not?
Right.
And with Jimmy, the conversations based on what you said both to the police and the recordings, they all dealt around killing. Anytime there was a conversation regarding killing, Jimmy was there, right?
When I saw Jimmy, she spoke of the hit, yes.
But she didn't speak of a role or anything for Billy to play during any of this, did he? Did she? I'm sorry.
No.
And Billy didn't agree to anything in front of you regarding any sort of plot, no more than you didn't receive $10,000, right?
That's correct.
And so and I know you said you placed calls because the police told you to place calls and all of that, you never, when talking to the police, said anything about you thought that there was some agreement or something like that between Billy and Sherra, correct?
I never told them there was an agreement.
Right. You never said that you thought that there was an agreement or something to commit any crimes as far as Billy and Sherra at all, right? In fact, you said that when you talked to the police, you were clear, you didn't receive any kind of money, no hush money was ever offered to you.
That's correct.
And likewise, you told the police you ain't never been down to Batesville to pick up Jimmy or any of that stuff.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
And you told the police at that particular point in time that there never was anything that you saw between Billy and Jimmy that seemed like it was odd, other than Sherra raising issue with Lorenzen, saying that she thought Lorenzen had a hit out on her.
Correct.
But never, and out of clarity, were you a part of any kind of conspiracy or any kind of a plan to kill Lorenzen Wright?
No, I was not.
And never did you directly observe in any kind of way an agreement with Billy to have any part in trying to kill Lorenzen Wright, right?
Right.
Ms. Perry, any additional questions? Ms. Schofield.
Ms. Robinson, during these conversations, you didn't observe them you talking about the specifics of how they were legitimate, right?
No, I didn't observe specifics.
Okay. Would it be fair to say every time you heard Sherra talk about murdering her husband, Billy Turner was there?
Correct.
And there's been some talk of why you didn't come forward to the police. When the person they're talking about gets murdered, or about murdering gets murdered,
Right.
in fact,
Objection, Your Honor. This is his witness. He can rehab. He can't leave.
Again, Mr. Perry has not asked a question.
Mr.
Mr. Perry will not argue with you. He has not asked a question. When he asks a question, you may object. He has not asked a question yet. I cannot read his mind.
But, Your Honor.
Mr. Perry, I can't read his mind.
But I can't, Your Honor,
Ms. Perry,
if we
you
can
make
go
Ms.
off record
Perry-
and approach.
Ms. Perry.
Your Honor,
Ms.
I
Perry-
can't do my job effectively.
Ms. Perry, you're doing your job
Okay.
effectively. Let him ask a question. When he asks a question you believe is objectionable, object, and I'll rule on it. You may proceed with Schofield.
I'm going to actually kind of rephrase the question here.
Yes, sir.
The person they were talking about killing at the meeting or the conversation actually got murdered. Is that
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And when those same people threatened you, does that raise concern on your part?
Of
Objection,
course.
Your Honor. You're suggesting the answer.
Again, it doesn't suggest an answer. She could say it did not bother her at all. You may proceed with Schofield.
And because Lorenzen Wright actually got murdered, is that why you never came forward?
Correct.
Schofield, additional questions? Ms. Perry, any additional questions?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinson, I want to thank you for being present in court today. I'm going to excuse you for any additional testimony in this case. You cannot discuss with anyone what you testified to in court. You cannot allow anyone to talk to you about their testimony. If you are able to, if you are able to, you are may stay and watch the rest of the trial, but don't discuss your testimony with anyone, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Step down and watch your step, please. Yes, sir. Just remember the court's instruction: cannot discuss the case with anyone, cannot discuss the case amongst yourself. Deborah Smith, have they been out of this building since this morning?
True. The smoke was happening.
We'll take a recess for about 15 minutes, and if anybody needs to step outside and get some fresh air, you may do so. You can follow Deborah Smith, please.